What we're looking at today is the far right, Summer 16. And again, we're going to look at some things that I think are pretty cool. One of the things we're not going to look at, don't you love that? I say we're going to look at something and I say we're not going to look at. Agentless Discovery is now part of Remedyforce. My environment still configured to connect to the Pentaho kettle and pull in data through that integration. I didn't want to change it, so I'm not going to show how to configure that. There is information out on the docs.bmc.com. But the idea behind Agentless Discovery is it's using the client management tool. We've got a BMC client management, and now we're calling it Remedyforce Client Management with integrated into Remedyforce, but it's that same client management tool that you may have used or may have looked at in the past. The idea is you do still have to have a box on your site that's going to go ahead and do the relay. It's going to go ahead and scan and relay stuff up to Remedyforce, but everything else is hosted by BMC. With Agentless Discovery, you're going to be able to discover your assets and pull them up into your CMDB and be able to work with them. If you want the other features of client management, such as patching, compliance management, software license management, financial management, etc., you can look at the Premium and the Premium Plus licenses. Those are add-ons, and you can certainly add them into your Remedyforce licensing and have those capabilities available as well. So this is a nice feature that we've added, that's been added in for customers who just need to get some discovery going. I will mention that at the moment, the mappings are preset for you all. So when the tool does scan your network and pipe the data into Remedyforce, the mappings are preset. BMC is looking at maybe allowing you to manipulate those mappings. If you think you're going to want to change those mappings or do something different, you're going to want the traditional BMC client management, where you can have it on-premise or in a RightStar hosting environment, and then you can manipulate the mappings as needed. So that was a lot of talking in Agentless Discovery, but wanted to mention that because we are not going to be seeing that today. We are going to see things around the assignment engine and the service health dashboard because those are pretty good, and some of the other things on this slide. And again, those of you who have been working with Remedyforce for a while know that on communities.bmc.com, there's an ideas section. And in that ideas section, you're able to put in requests for enhancement. Well, a lot of those have gotten into this particular release, and you'll see those as we go through the system. I'm going to go ahead and switch to sharing my desktop. Okay, so what's the first thing I want to look at? And again, we're kind of doing some of my favorites here. One of the first things is service health. Service health is the idea that your users, your end users, and your backend staff can see what is the current status of business services that are important to you or important to them. So this is visible both in self-service and on the backend, and you can show both current and future. What does that look like? I've gone over here to my self-service portal. Probably looks pretty familiar to some of you, although you may have configured it differently. And I've added the tab View Service Health here. So remember, now I'm an end user. I'm logged in as Jackson. I'm an end user, just somebody who all I care about are things I'm connected with. So when I go to View Service Health, I can see the services that I'm connected with or my organization is connected with. Most of them are going green. ADP isn't. So if Jackson was having a problem getting to ADP, this is a quick way where you can come in and see what's going on. And you can see it's disrupted, and they're still analyzing this particular outage. So now maybe he doesn't have to put in a ticket or to say he's having a problem. He could just subscribe to the updates and get notified when updates happen. Somewhat similar to the broadcast messages, right, where you can put broadcast out about various things. But service health is really key to what services is Jackson using. Let's say Jackson's going to be coming in this weekend to work on something. He could have hit this future button and see if there are any upcoming outages. So if you had a future service outage, maybe this weekend you're going to be upgrading something, Jackson would want to know about that before he bothered coming in and wasting a half a day and finding out he can't get to the system. So service health, one of the new features, pretty easy to configure. I've been looking at this from Jackson's perspective, the end user perspective. What does it look like for the support side? Let's go ahead and look at support side. So I'm logged in as a support analyst. Now I'm logged in as myself. I've got a tab. Now I've got lots of tabs here, but I've stuck it here on my list of tabs, Remedyforce Service Health, and I'm looking at all the services here. What's nice is I don't have to look at all. I can look at just degraded and disrupted, and it's only going to show me those particular services. So if I get a phone call from somebody who's having an issue with something, this might be one of the places I want to go and look. Again, I can come back and look at all and see all the services out there. So end users see services that are connected to them. On the back end, I can see all the services because, of course, as a support person, I need to know what's going on. If I go ahead and click on this, I'm going to see that same message. Now, let's say I'm the person who's working on the ADP system. I haven't updated this since June 21st. Might be time for another update. So that's under Remedyforce Administration. There's a service outage place here where I can go ahead and see all my outages. I've brought up the ADP outage right now. I can go ahead and add another note. I'm going to say new action, service health update. And then I'm going to go ahead and be able to put a note out here and say, still working on this. Sorry for the delay. Hope to have soon, maybe in another month or soon. So I know in your environment, you're much more responsive than this, but in a demo environment, sometimes it does take another month or two. So now if we go and look at our service health, you should be able to see that there's another message out here. Let me go ahead and close the tab and reopen it. Click on there, and we can see there's another message out there. Nice way to communicate with your end users. Get to pull it out of email. It could be that there's a service down that affects Jackson, but he doesn't know because he hasn't gone to it yet. Maybe there's something he hits, maybe it's his time tracking system, and he only hits it on the 15th and the end of the month. Why shoot him an email that it's down if it's the 3rd? He'll never notice it, right? But if he does come to the 15th, he can always come and check. So just another good way to communicate with your customers. Easy to set up, good way to communicate. And again, if you have any questions as we go along, go to the Q&A window. So I really like that service health. That's something I think is going to be pretty useful for both the end users and for the support staff. The next thing I like, and I think a lot of you are going to like this one, Smart Suggestions. You may remember Smart Suggestions in the back end, right? When you're putting in a ticket as an end user, you're able to go ahead and get some suggestions that pop up. We've extended that now, BMC has extended that now to self-service. So that, and you can configure what they're going to be able to see out here. So for example, if you don't want them finding common tickets, you can uncheck that box and they won't be able to see common tickets. But this is a way, and we get asked this a lot, right? When we work with you all in your pre-sale demos and whatnot, how do I get them to see knowledge articles before they put in the ticket? So this is a pretty cool feature, and again, I think a lot of you are going to like this. How does this work? Let me go ahead and I'm going to click on the Submit a Ticket button. It's going to pop up. I only have 2 fields out here. You all are pretty used to that. You probably have more fields out here. I'm going to go ahead and pick Applications as my category, and I'm going to start typing into the Describe Your Issue field. And I'm going to try and type correctly. You're already seeing Smart Suggestions are appearing over on the right-hand side there. So as I type this in, we're going to see some of those. I can see there's self-help articles, common tickets, it's refreshing, and also found a service request. This simplifies the end user interface. From the new ticket, when I start typing in, I can see those knowledge articles. I might choose not to show them on that first tab. I also can see any related service requests. So I don't have to think about, do I want to submit a ticket or do I want to do a service request? This is actually going to do it. As you can see, I am allowing common tickets in my environment. That's what I might remove in the real world, depending on what I was doing. But over here, I can, again, click on a knowledge article, can't log in. I'll go ahead and look at that one. Really boring knowledge article. Needs to be using IE 10 or above, not really exciting. So let me go ahead and come in because I am using IE, and go ahead and click the service request for the billing issue. And it's just like going to my service request tab or searching for it, or I can go ahead and do all the stuff I normally would do with this ticket. Smart Suggestions for the end user. I'm hoping that's getting a lot of thumbs up out there because I think that's something that I've been asked for in demos so often that I really do want them as soon as they start typing to be able to see what's going on. So that's something I think that's really going to help your end users as well. And again, you can pick which of these areas they're going to be seeing. Okay, I don't see any questions on that, so we'll keep moving on. I don't have a broadcast, by the way, for the billing system that's public. That's why no broadcast showed up. If I had typed in something for a broadcast that exists, which, by the way, we can see up here, we've got that payroll application going by. Let me go ahead and type in payroll application. I think that one will show up as a broadcast as well. So there's nothing applicable. We're not going to see the section at all. If there is something applicable, we'll go ahead and see that. So you can see broadcast now appears over here on the right because of the wording that I typed in. Big win, I think, in this release. So what do we have next? Making surveys pop. I don't know if we need our surveys to pop or not, but maybe we do. We do want people to answer these not just when they're mad, but also when they're in a good mood. So anything we can do to get them a little bit more user-friendly can be a good thing. I haven't changed the default survey settings. So this is the new survey, aside from moving to the graphical survey. So this is out of the box, but as you can see in the slide, you can modify some of these. So now when I'm answering, I'm not just picking a number, I'm doing it on a little bit of a slide bar. I can slide back and forth, see what kinds of things could happen. I apologize for that. I got on the phone starting at 6:30 my time this morning, so still might be a little bit too caffeinated right now. But yeah, you can slide up. They can slide it back and forth, put in their feedback, and of course with the surveys, you all can always add more questions or change questions as needed. But that's what we mean with the graphical pop of the surveys. Rather than the old style that was just a list of questions, now we've got some colors, grab a little bit more attention. Hopefully we can get some people submitting in more surveys. And again, I know they'll always do it with bad service. We want them to do it with good service too. So that's the idea behind the graphical surveys. So you can see we've added in a lot of things around self-service. Smart Suggestions is probably the most useful, but certainly Service Health is very useful. Graphical surveys are important too. Mobile. I don't know how many of you were using the beta mobile self-service before. There was a beta for self-service using the Salesforce One app because BMC really wanted to get people using the Salesforce One app, not just for technicians, but also for end users. So last summer, I believe it was, maybe the fall, the beta self-service came out, which allowed you to submit incidents and look at knowledge articles. But it was kind of the basic, right? You couldn't do service requests. There's some other things you couldn't do. So they've enhanced the mobile for self-service with this particular release. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up my emulator. There's my emulator. And here's my iPad with the new mobile self-service. I'm in Salesforce One. So if I hit my thing there, you'll be able to see standard Salesforce One stuff, all the things going on. So I am sitting in Salesforce One. And it's so important to have one mobile app whenever possible, rather than trying to juggle different ways for your end users or for your users on their mobile devices, right? You don't want to think that end users are using one way, support staff are using a different way, and what do we do about all this? So self-service now on the Salesforce app, and more power than when it came out the last time. So right away you can see the broadcasts are appearing up there. I'm going to hit that little arrow next to the 2. I could have also hit the broadcast tower so I can see all the broadcasts. So there are a lot of broadcaster users might want to do this because it's just a little bit easier than trying to catch them as they broadcast through. You can see I'm not going to read all the sections to you, although there's one that we're going to come back and talk to. But again, just like in the self-service on the web application, I can just start typing. So I'm going to start typing in billing, and it's going to, again, find some things. And by the way, for those of you not using Salesforce One app yet, they do have apps for both iOS and for Android. And then on other mobile devices, you can use the web browser. So the Salesforce One web browser, not just the standard web browser, so you get a Salesforce One type of adventure. So I've got the knowledge articles that are popping up, and the service requests are popping up as well. And just like I saw on the web client, I can now submit service requests through the mobile app.